Greetings everyone. I am Rising Phoenix Aurora. Welcome to Cosmic Mother Rising Show. And this is
Hello, everybody. It's Laura Eisenhower. Welcome to the show. It's been a while. I'm so happy to be here with you today, Aurora.
Thank you. Such an honor. And together we co-host this beautiful show. You can find us here on Rumble, and yeah, make sure you go watch all the rest of the shows. What an honor it is to be here with you with this these beautiful updates that we always come forth and deliver over to you all. So thank you. So much is going around the world, and different amazing things that are happening. And one of the major things that I want to talk about today is so important in the ways that we want to recognize the magic still around all the distractions and the military and the Illuminati, but you still want to still be able to recognize when Mother Earth is speaking to you and showing you her organic self, her magic. Because I have been finding that, for example, like the Aurora Borealis, which was incredible, that reached all the way through the really Australia, which means that it went to Antarctica, that people were giving the credit to CERN. And that is sad in many ways, because something so magical as her, which is the Aurora Borealis, is her aura, for it to reach that far and for it to be felt throughout all Earth like that, it's just something magic. So really reminding us to not be pulled into allowing our energy, our consciousness, our mind into the fact that some of these magical things that Mother Earth is talking to us, she's calling, she's crying out for us, showing us these things, and the ways that she's lifting in vibration for the collective ascension every day, every second, and every hour. So let us recognize the beauties and give more say credit, more understanding, and stop giving our power away to like CERN or any kind of any of these type of negative technologies, because I mean they're not a god. So yeah, that's what I want to start off with. And so, but thank you for being here. And we know that it's been a while, and together we co-host this amazing show. So let us know too, like it'd be beautiful. We could also take some of your questions, and you could write them in the comments here under Rumble, and then we can maybe take some questions next time. Laura, what do you think?
Oh, I love that idea. For sure.
Beautiful. And what would you like to add?
Yeah,
Laura?
well, it's so true. I mean, it's like two different dialogues are going on, and that's sort of like the two different dialogues that go on within ourselves. And it might not come down to it just being two, but maybe two main ones. One is coming from, the frequency manipulations, how it hits our being after we might listen to a headline or be on social media or expose ourselves to things that engage us in what's going on in the madness of the world. And how do we engage in that dialogue? Do we get really sucked in? Do we have a panic response? Is there some sort of connection between the dark weapons and the things that we are exposed to? And I think absolutely, I think they work in tandem with each other. Because why would you have a bioweapon without a storyline? The storyline is required for the bioweapon to even work, because there has to be some sort of belief system or reaction in order for it to really begin to infiltrate. And that's just the nature of mind control. And I feel the weaponry, the nanites, the nanoparticles, and the frequency manipulations are all a part of like holding us there, and then beginning to kind of overtake the mind computer, keeping it from the higher self and the downloads that allow the divine mind and a greater intelligence to guide. So that would be the other dialogue. And then the noticing of the synchronicities and the magic and the flow and the beautiful things, like you mentioned, that Mother Earth shows us, the different signs, the different messages, the soul family we meet, and just all the upgrades that are available. So that's the dialogue we should be having. And this is what awakening is all about, is, changing the patterning of our lives and recognizing the harmful relationships that we have. And the most important to look at is the harmful relationship we have with creation, the false matrix creation that is using our creative energy to even operate. So it's not true creation. It's not organic creation. It's creating from our life force, our creative imagination. And it's siphoning and harvesting everything to battery up these artificial scenarios. And everything that even is a doom or gloom scenario is, engineered. And if it's not engineered, what is there to fear? That would be just the earth trying to find balance. Just like we create a crisis in our life in order to move to the next level, make adjustments that we need to make within our own lifestyle and our own physical vessel to have health and wellness. So those are the sort of two dialogues, and something that we have to be very discerning about. So I'll just add that for now.
Oh, thank you. Beautiful, Laura. So just, we are all divine, and we all speak to Mother Earth, and some of the major things that she wants you to understand that is like, one, I mean, we were in the fifth dimension, crystalline blueprint, right? And then we descended down. It wasn't like a rapid descension. That's just not how it works energetically, scientifically. We did have to densify. And, we were talking about this, right? The fall of Atlantis. And from the fall of Atlantis, we went from fifth dimension, but we started descending down to a fourth dimension. Even to get to the third dimension, it was a continual descension of human evolution, civilizations being a lot of, actually everything of what Laura talked about, the mind control and using our consciousness, our energy as a creator beings to make their inverted timelines. So the earth just keep descending down with all the wars. And I also have a Rumble channel where I've been talking about the world wars erased, like these locations on earth where there's been nuclear bombs that we don't know about back in the 1500s. We've been looking at old maps and discovering those by data by the Library of Congress. So not only just remote viewing, but also the data. And it's been incredible to see like these different places where there's deserts, there weren't deserts there before. So which means that there were nuclear bombs in different locations all over Earth. So as the descension kept happening, we went from say 5 to say a 5D to a 4.9 to a 4.8, 4.7. So it's really important that as a collective, we don't lose hope because of how dense this density is as we've descended down to the three, which we are looking at maybe like a 3.3 if we're looking at decimals of, it works with science and mathematics. Really, the biggest, though falling, which I actually just discovered and I have a video about it, but I discovered a map. And I can show it to you briefly if you want, but so I've been remote viewing that Yeshua will say wasn't born over 2,000 years ago, that it's a lie because everyone just remembers him like he was just here. So I actually found a map where it shows just a couple hundred years ago, he was born and was in that era. So if you like, I can try to pull him up, but it'll take me a minute. But it's just, I'm gonna have a whole video about it. So and so it's like all this like false history really just kind of programming, densifying us. And then, the most densest definitely situation that happened that densified us from the 4D closest to the 3D was Yeshua being crucified and that horrific pain that the collective went through on Earth. So more than ever, we have to ensure that we stand up for those who are operating in the heart, operating in discernment, operating in truth, in the truth frequency, right? You have your book that came out, and supporting them and not allowing our energies to be used to crucify Yeshua, or because we all hold Yeshua now in our hearts. So support. Times have changed. The earth has evolved profoundly. And but since I'm going through the time period, Yeshua was the next one that really put us like into the 3, but it was like a 3.9. And then the most recent Tartaria, which I've been talking about it briefly here, but you guys can check out Antarctica Tartaria series that I have about 30 episodes on. And that was like the giant trees that were holding up the tree of life and the blueprint of Earth, when those were cut down, and then when unicorns still were here and dragons, and that descension was really. So what I'm trying to tell you is that we need to keep holding the space so that we can rise up now, as we have already descended now. So what's left when we fall down, you all? We must get up and rise up. And that's what we are doing. So let us collectively together keep joining together and keep rising up no matter what. And in our hearts, Yeshua has taught us, right? Stay in your heart. What does that mean? Like to stay in your heart? That means to vibrate to love. Vibrate to love. Focus in that energy. Draw it in. Feel that vortex of that flame at your center, just like you see his depictions, the illustrations or statues of him, how he has that heart, that flame. He reminds you that you are that flame. Never has that flame been disconnected from you. That soul, the flame is your soul, and to rise with the frequency of holding the space in your heart. And that's what brings us back all collectively, shifts the collective. The more that every day we wake up together holding this infinite love for creation, no matter even if it's someone's hateful or whatever, that you hold love for them no matter what, we go up and up, up a decimal every time. So let's just keep doing that. It's just beautiful, beautiful. Don't give up, y'all.
Definitely. That's so beautiful. Yeah, a lot of thoughts kind of came to mind while you were talking. And it's weird that there would be such a dissension, you know, into such heavy density. But when we look at the free will aspect of this experience, even though it doesn't always feel that way when we look at controllers and all the mechanisms being used to control and limit us and dumb us down, messing with our DNA, was that something we voted for? I mean, we're part of a collective experience, though, to a certain degree, and we played different roles in this larger scheme of things. So here we are with amnesia, not remembering our past lives and going through this experience. And it's really the ego that digresses, the human form, you know, digressing. And like you said, until it hits rock bottom, because it has to see everything it's not in order to be able to open that doorway into the soul, into a much bigger picture. And even though we might have experiences and flashes of living soul centered, it's very hard for people to maintain when they get tested, when their survival gets tested, that paycheck or, you know, that career, if you don't consent or go along with this or that. And I think 2019, 2020 was a major test for people. Are you going to compromise your integrity just for that paycheck? Are you going to push the medical tyranny just to keep your job? Are you going to keep sending your kids to school and not listen to what they're actually going through, you know, after they come home all gender confused and wanting to carry pronouns? Are you curious enough? Are you just trusting? Are you just trusting? Because everything is about this dependency bond with this inverted system. And so that's going to take us down a path of digression just as much as a narcissist or abuser is going to take us down a path of digression in our own sense of self-worth and what we go through, you know, like that's love that isn't love. That might say I love you, but it doesn't really love you. Like society acts like it cares, but it doesn't care. And it's tricking people with the reward system or patting you on the back when you do a good job doing this or going through the motions and you know, doing things that would, you know, elevate you in society, whether it's fame, whether it's having a lot of money, whether it's having a position in being a doctor or a teacher or a lawyer, you know, and people have lost themselves to this to the point where it digresses them. Whereas nature knows how to upgrade, knows how to regenerate. It goes through cycles though. And so when there's something that decays or dies, it is reborn, it regenerates. So a cycle, like we see in winter, though, doesn't need to digress as in losing itself. It just goes into a phase of incubation, of birthing, of holding seeds and then giving birth to them in the spring. So when we're more comfortable with nature and the cycles, we don't digress. You know, we just we continue to birth higher worlds. We gain wisdom along the way, moving from maiden, mother to crone or whatever. And how that all sort of works, going through all the developmental stages of life, starting from childhood into adulthood. These natural rites of passages and developmental phases, you know, if left to our own ability to flow with that, we would be elders. We would, you know, our elderly would not be in nursing homes with dementia, with all sorts of illnesses. We wouldn't constantly be battling cancer and all sorts of mental illnesses and the pharmaceutical industry, which leads to digression. So this next phase of it in this showtime of forces with NWO and this tyranny that we're seeing, it's like there's a collapse of civilization before it was even advanced and then collapsing, like we see in our ancient history, where things got to a very advanced place and then the infiltration of dark forces, you know, ended up starting to compromise so that we wouldn't remember and we'd be endlessly recycled into this enslavement agenda and just fed off of, and no longer in our full 12-strand capacity or at any level of it. And there's always been sort of these imposters playing a role in religion, playing a role in politics, and being the handlers or dark lords that run a lot of these institutions with a lot of well-intentioned people. So the sort of fall of humans right now is the death of ego, not the loss of ego, but the death of the one that it's attached to this outer world, and looking outside the self and getting caught in that problem reaction solution where you can be like abused by the very same person that'll give you a hug. That we can see when it's the same person in a relationship, but when we see it in society, we're seeing different characters that are part of the same alliance. One is to create the false flag and the other one is to swoop in with a false solution. So to cut that cord and to move on from that relationship is to begin to move with this ascension window and the upgrades and what Mother Earth and her anchoring back into the planetary core really represents, that we are going to get that full DNA expression back. We're going to override all the limitations of the medical industry, and we're going to get to know ourselves more in the face of these challenges and adversities to switch on what has been asleep. And I think, when we can really, step away from that and understand the true teachings of the Christ and Magdalene's role and our true divine template of Christ-Sophia, we'll understand that our soul comes in to integrate polarity. It shows in our astro chart. We go from south node to north node. They're opposite each other. So we can come in a Virgo south node and our north node's Pisces. Come in a north node or south node Capricorn with the north node Cancer. So we want to experience one and then step into the other. And in doing that, we clear ancestral patterns and programmings. And the reason it's so tough to do that integration is because there's all sorts of gatekeepers that stand in the way of that integration, that want us to be polarized, that want us to be stuck in one aspect of our chart or one belief system or choose a side, whether it's a political party or the masculine dominating the feminine, not realizing that imbalance within ourselves, or vice versa, or women taking over. And it's really, like we were saying, this show is about balance, integration of polarity, and understanding, that our role and our challenge is to understand what did we choose to integrate in this lifetime that will help us to find wholeness, to then move into that 0-point unified field that integration of polarity brings. And then all of a sudden the patternings of the rest of our chart aren't as powerful. They don't have such a grip on us because we've done the soul work, which the nodes represent, which the eclipses activate. And that will start to help us with all the other patterns that keep us looping and sometimes oblivious to the breakthroughs and the growth periods that the astro chart shows, which are being inverted and utilized in the system to throw us hijacking energies of false flags and psyops and archonic attacks and spiritual warfare and mind control, indoctrination programs, so that we miss out on what nature is bringing us to initiate and to grow, but giving us the hijacked version so that we end up digressing. And those breakthroughs are actually captured and used to keep these artificial engineered timelines alive. So it's totally in our hands. And that's definitely something to be mindful of. There's always, like, every time there's a horrific news story, there's a better news story going on inside your own higher consciousness and in your own soul and in nature. And that's why I love that you brought up the Aurora Borealis. And we saw so much attention on the eclipse time too. Let's focus on the art. Let's focus on the battle that we're in. But how much do we just get engaged in that battle? How much do we miss out on the actual embodiment and holding space for that? And that's, what you do so beautifully. And I love how, like, that's all you, that you hold that space and that sacred flame every day.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And that's exactly what it was. That Aurora Borealis was an eternal flame that was really released out. And you're right. I love everything you said. You're just incredible. But yes, we're missing out the organic. We could literally be seeing magic happening in front of us, but instead we allow our mind to tell us that, oh, that's just artificial. There's no way. So let us realign and back to her beauty, because the crystalline blueprint of her, the 5D, is still here. It's just got that overlay. It's like a hologram over it. So, but then down beneath, you dig your feet deep into the soil, you could feel her crystalline energy still there, just with this overlay that we just kind of like take off and the veil. And I love what you said about like a lot of the astrology you talk about, it seems like you're talking about it like in 4 sacred directions, which are so significant, like you north, east, west, kind of. I think so. It sounds like it. But yes, when we think about that, like the astrology, like the beautiful readings that you give to people, which are incredible, from what I've just been hearing from everyone, not one person can say anything negative. They just really admire the readings that you give them, and they're just so thankful. But yes, so if you haven't booked an astrology reading, go book one with Laura. And when you're looking at that, so understanding that, I think it has to do with the astrology readings that you give people, because what's consistent within their soul birth, like what's they can look at it kind of like collective energies, like whether your moon is in this, or your sun is in this, and when were you born, and all those, and even draw it out. Like they can like draw it out, seeing like alchemy, like, and then do it like their own chart where they're at the center, and they could start using it more like an alchemy, like pulling in those energies to balance themselves out. That's just the vision I got when you were talking about that, if it makes any sense. But if you think about, like, our soul then is made up by those different astrology attributes that we're born with, right? And if we were to hone in more on those elements that are around us through the astrology, then we'd become more clearest at heart, more strongest with our abilities, and we learned how to more flow with the growth of Mother Earth, versus resisting. And then we could view it as collective guides and angelic celestial energy that we could call upon and pull upon to really create, manifest. Yeah, I could go on, but yeah, I want to say that. And then going back to, thank you, Laura, with the handlers that you were talking about, it's just incredible. Like, because I do I am a galactic historian, I'm an oracle, but I also do the aura regression, entity removal, past life regression, and in there we're going back, these clients go back to times and spaces where there is a handler. There's literally, and it all starts with those most of them are male handlers, and they're kings or queens, or they're priests, which is most horrific. And I guess since I've been talking about Yeshua, we'll go back to that, like those priests, the Catholic Church, that's what they are. They're those handlers, and and they're pedos as well. And then Freemasons, and that inverted ritual. See, they mummified, petrified, all these like priestesses, and a lot of us were priestesses and positive priests as well, right, in our times and spaces. But the virus came in, and then they took everything that we would do, like sacredly, dance with the moon and soak with the sun, and create sacred ritual, like with fire and a candle, and they literally just took it and put it upside down, right, like the upside down cross or the inverted pentagram. And the biggest handlers right now are the Freemasons. And yeah, so I wanted to mention that because I do have a couple clients that I work with that it's hard for them to get away from these Freemasons. So overall, just sending a collective love to that, because to them that are going around Earth. But goes back to, I really feel that those Freemasons and those handlers began. So if I can show that map, I found it really quick. And so here is one map, but I have several maps which I'm going to make a video about. So this one's from the 1500, and these are logged in the Congress of Library, right? So they're data. So this was Juan de la Cosa. Okay, so this is like the overall map here, but then let me find where they show Yeshua and Mother Mary. Okay, almost there. Gotta keep scrolling. Hold on. Okay, so there she is. So this is in the 1500s, and there she is there. Can't turn it, but there she is with Yeshua. And she's got two angels with her. And they even show that in this moment in time and space in the 1500, not only was she there with her child, just born in the 1500s, they also show the three wise men. And it shows here that she was in these, African, but also Jerusalem areas. Okay. And there's the three wise men here. See that? And I could show you more maps, but that'll take up a lot of time. So I just wanted to show you just how much they falsified history, and just something for us to be more aware of and start like questioning and looking around and find those clues that have been put together. The other thing that's really, really interesting, as we did talk about Tartaria, and the fact that they say only, I think it was 1907, they said, supposedly the airplane was invented. Actually, when you look at all these old maps, they had airplanes back then, and all this technology keeps repeating. Even like with the Mayans, they had technology, they had light, they had, moving devices. Cleopatra was channeling her. She was showing me, they had like this ring, and it goes back to Tartaria, like this ring powered by minerals, and the minerals the magnetic field of Earth would move the ring, like it's kind of like a wheel. They would spin it, and it would be like a car, but it's like a wheel. It's just amazing. So if you think about like how much we've evolved, so we talked about the de-ascension with this video, and so beautiful the way Laura has been filling in all the different ways that they control us and siphon our energy to densify us, right? But now look at how much we've evolved every couple hundred years. Look at how much we've evolved just in the last 100 years. So let's take that and evolve it energetically, psychically, spiritually, start, like working more diligent and strongly and brilliantly to activate our abilities and grow. And yeah.
Oh, I love it. And that's the thing. And I definitely being challenged by this. And I look forward to digging deeper into it. And I think you know what I'm talking about. My higher self absolutely knows this, what we're talking about. But when you hit a challenge on the human level, the mind almost has to go through all these different scenarios that it could possibly be. And then there's that part of the self that knows there's so much more to the picture. And I think you and I, just working with different clients and knowing how energy works, it's like there's a breakthrough. There's something that has not been discovered yet within the self. And this is what self-discovery is all about. We're very limited from being able to like know how to heal ourselves and discover aspects of ourself that if it's not expressed, or if it's shoved down, or if it's been traumatized, can produce, physical issues. And when you're not treating the root of it, when you're not getting to know yourself in the face of it, you're never going to get over it. And as much as things can mask it or make the symptoms go away, are you really, digging into it? And I think the world is in such a symptomatic place where us not knowing our galactic history or the roots of why things are happening on the world stage in the way that they are, and us not being able to process it as a collective, keeps these symptoms alive. I mean, we're elemental beings, and there's weather manipulation, there's geoengineering, there's mind control. We're elemental beings, so it can actually control our minds to the point where our bodies break down or produce disease. So if Mother Earth has been manipulated, her planetary grids and the weather and the elements, and the humans are enabling this without realizing it, because they themselves are being controlled in their elemental, that is, just this whole other sort of false reality that is engineered and simulated. But that's not the true reality. That's like our lower self that's all caught up in belief systems and in giving our power away. And the earth is just reflecting where we need to dig deeper to understand these symptoms, to get to the root of it, to experience the higher expression, which doesn't have any of those issues, which is purified from all of that, which is like the higher earth energy, or where we, see the timeline shifting into what we call planetary ascension. So this experience is just the 3D aspect of, wow, what do we need to break within ourselves to then not be weaponized or controlled, to experience an earth that reflects back to us that she can't be geoengineered either. I mean, we are healing with the planet. So there's a portion of her being that is experiencing what we are experiencing in the 3D, but she's multidimensional. And there's aspects of her that have none of that, and that we're moving into that experience along with her. Are we healing it with her in order to perceive it? I feel that it already exists, but we're moving through the process in this sort of time of bifurcation to walk ourselves out of, this trajectory that's taking people into further assimilation into AI and New World Order, which would be, the imbalance of the mother energy in the dark mother reversals with the Baphomet worship and how they've harnessed her womb energy to, and so it's just amazing the micro macro connection with the Sophionic corrections and the Sophionic energy, and that she's got so many levels that are beyond this, as do we, and that we're experiencing, this liberation from those forces. And in doing that, we realize that we're a part of like that process in nature itself. Where it falls on the timeline isn't necessarily linear, but where it falls as far as what our agreements are, what we came in here to do, whether we're here to help wake people up or we're here to experience it until we hit rock bottom in order to wake up, or whatever, the storyline is, the storylines that we're given are exactly what we need. And the problem is we've been taught to judge it. We've been taught to misunderstand it. We've been taught to fear it. And if we make peace with it, we'll realize we're a part of a much, much greater story. And that we all play a very, very important role in the liberation of this planet that is already liberated, just like our higher self is. Our immune system will always heal us. Are we supporting it though, or are we denying it and mistreating it? So I just wanted to add that. I don't even know where I was going with that.
Yes, it's so important. It's hard, like what you're saying, like experiencing it, right? Because I mean, truthfully, we do have to experience it to understand the lesson to it, so that we could evolve out from it. Sometimes you try to like help people, and you try to like say you see something, maybe something, a way that they could maybe shift or not choose an inverted timeline, or and you try to give them the guidance, but ultimately sometimes they do have to go through that, because now they experienced it, now they understand it, and then hopefully they'll learn from that lesson to not fall for that trapping again. So I love everything that you said. So what's going on around Earth, like, what are ways that we can, so we talked a lot of the ways that we've been kind of, collective has been changed in history, in galactic history, or overall, but like, what are some of the things that we can do though for ourselves? Like, more than ever, shielding is number one. Shielding is number one. I had an aura regression that was so powerful. I want to share. It was a cute little girl, and her parents had taught her how to shield, and there was like this weird kind of hybrid child on Earth with her, okay, and in the same kind of classroom. And what happened was that this dark hybrid was trying to siphon another child's energy. So what she saw is naturally this golden energy, this beautiful child, golden energy comes out of her. It starts, the plasmic light starts going to that space and blocks out the dark hybrid child from siphoning the regular child's energy. And that this was the higher self kept saying, like, this child doing that everywhere, like the teachers, like their energy is just expanding and growing. So more than ever, like, if we could all just collectively send love to the children of Earth. I know we and Rising Phoenix Aura, everyone who watches me, we send love at 555. So think about that. Sending love to the collective of children, because it is really hard for them. Just like Laura was talking about, they're so confused. I mean, everywhere you look, there's non-binary, there's pansexual, there's, all this transhumanism, they're injecting them with stuff, and it's like so confusing to be a child. So really the strongest warriors are coming and incarnating, agreeing to be here on Earth. So know that they're that special, that they are like this golden child that can expand out and shield different spaces when needed, and people, and you really, change the collective. So let us keep protecting, sending love to the children, because they are truly the birthers of our organic ascension. Yeah. So as a parent, yeah, talk to them, Teach them how to shield. And you, first of all, start shielding. Use that source of light around you. Expand it around you. Use that source of light. And that basically that filters out what is in opposite, what's not source of light. And it doesn't allow for it to penetrate your field. And, you know, you could combine alchemy symbols, sacred geometry, different colors into that source of light. So it's about like fine-tuning your frequency, like Nikola Tesla. I've channeled him and he explains how everything's just kind of like a dial. Like, what do you want to switch it to? It's your creation. So if you do want to have a day that's going to be embodied by your most organic, heart discerning self, then you need to first create that space. And every night you're sleeping. So the way it works, since I've taught also Mayan culture, like the Mayans taught like the way that you so in order for you to be, say today, I prepared all the energy, we prepare the energy when we're sleeping the night before. When the sun goes down, technically you're on a different day. You are on the new day of rebirthing. You're in the womb space, basically. That's why it's night. So in that womb space, you're preparing your energy while you're sleeping, which then prepares your day to come. So today. So start really viewing every day like that, like you are taking that ownership, that responsibility in your beautiful space here on earth, and create and tune it in to that frequency that you want of source of light.
I love that. So true. And that's really where the change happens. And when one looks at just like Virgo, that's physiology, physical lifestyle, habits, routine, work, and the quality of our work. It's the quality of our everyday life, and also our connection with nature and animals. And its opposite sign is Pisces, Neptune. And when we integrate that, it's really like heaven on earth, right? Where the creative imagination is integrated into the physical vessel, where your dreams and visions are available to you because you're speaking them into reality. You're trusting yourself. Virgo's ruled by Mercury. Mercury, you know, being all about the throat chakra, the words we speak, the thoughts that we have, that really determines our physical reality, our physical health, our physiology, our lifestyle, our habits, the choices we make, the things that we think and believe. And if there's things in that Neptune energy that are unconscious, if we're just on autopilot, if we don't understand how to clear that, and we don't know if there's programmings in there that have caught into our belief systems that are being integrated into our physical vessel that's causing us unwellness, then, you know, we just think, oh, something's wrong with this, so blah, 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 I'll just take a drug or go to the doctor. And that's great and all, but, you know, how in your everyday life, when you have that opportunity to create that dial, to create more self-discovery, self-awareness, mindfulness of what you're thinking, what you're choosing to put in your body, what thought forms you're choosing to take on. You know, are they your thoughts first off, or are they somebody else's thoughts that you've adopted? Are they coming from an old authority that conditioned you? Is it coming from what you're getting from the news? So, you know, it's like in every moment, you get to upgrade the way that you experience your reality. And in doing that consistently, you'll notice some massive changes happen. And then with the cycles of nature and just the moon and where that's at, and you know, you'll notice, you know, when you see that harvest, or you see where that intent in those seeds that you planted really do come to fruition. And we need to guard the garden, be guardians of the garden, and make sure that nothing sprays it, nothing tramples on it, and nothing impedes, you know, the growth of those very, very important seeds that you're planting. And this is exactly what they're doing. But we are the more advanced technology. We can shield ourselves. We can de-weaponize all the weapons, and making sure that we stay consistent in knowing that the number one target is the mind. If we believe in the things that are streaming at us, those weapons work on us. But if we override that, none of that really is going to get to us. If anything, we'll transmute it and alchemize it. And I love what you said, because that is the best use of the chart, I feel, as a tool to advance and get to know yourself better, because we're not all going to experience it the same way. And we all have different challenges we came in with, and gifts to bring. And in harmonizing all of this, we get to experience the totality of the 12 signs, which is experiencing how to switch on and help activate one another to get the 12th strand back. Because it's 12 houses, 12 signs with the 13. It's like really, you know, in coming together and blending and harmonizing, you know, the different imprints and blueprints we came in with, we can help each other switch on. And then we're not going to be so limited to just what the aspects of our chart or our sign is. We're going to realize, you know, we're able to enjoy the fullness and wholeness while understanding that we each have a particular role. And later on, you know, right now it might be spreading ourselves too thin to express every single aspect of all that we could possibly be. But once we switch each other on, we're going to move into a place where that omnipresence, that multidimensional expression is going to be so much more accommodated instead of limited by the heavy density we wake up in every day. And I think switching all that on is, you know, the ascension energy, moving through the gatekeepers, the frequency fences, and then all of a sudden, wow, we can be much more multidimensionally embodied. And when we get our creative energy back and we call it back and the parasitic forces get starved, wow, we can generate our reality around us and be the artists of our creations.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love everything you said. It just activates more. Like, so I want to finish off with so like you can look at, yes, the 12 DNA strands that Laura was speaking about. You can look at your DNA strands, right? It's like a spiral. It's a spiral. It's a coil that runs up. So the way that the DNA works is that it works by light codes, and specifically ways that you can activate the light codes, basically the sacred geometry. You can look at DNA. There's the blood holds different sacred geometry within it, like the flower of life and so on. So the way that you want to look at it is so when you're soaking in with the sun, you want to feel those light codes coming into your crystalline energy. Just looking at our skin, you know, I have natural gold in the sun, like gold glitter. That's not makeup, it's just gold, you know. So looking at your hair, there's rainbows in the color of the hair when the hair hits, when the sun hits the. So visualize your DNA. You could do like a meditation. You're visualizing your DNA and watching it grow, heal, and activate. And every single one of these light codes that are coming in through the sun, crop circles are also very sacred. If you look at them, they're really just quite incredible. The sacred geometry through that also. Specifically, so the alchemy in our DNA and what we're doing every day as we undensify and become lighter and lighter in mind, body, and soul. You view your DNA like each strand is important, and each one of them has, say, a sacred alchemy or alchemy symbol, sacred geometry, and maybe like the spiral, the Fibonacci code, right? And one unlocks, and then they just like, it's a crystallization that keeps unlocking and unleashing and growing the DNA to building the 12 DNA strand, and each one of those strands that will ultimately come into the 13 DNA strand that will bring forth the expansion and collective ascension when the 13 hits. So all this transformation that we've been talking about is like really like we talked about how the rising, so we need to keep rising, and as we rise we are going to keep activating all the alchemy and alchemy symbols in our DNA to bring us to that. But we need to keep rising with Mother Earth, because often we're in that bifurcation that we talk about, the Vesica Pisces. So you could be operating in the inverted versus her, that she's sacred, a sacred geometry that's just always moving, like say the Metatron cubic star, how it just keeps moving and transcending. So let's view ourselves like that. And yeah.
Wow, gosh.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Thank you, Laura. What a joy. Did you want to? All right, thank you. Go check out our website.
Yeah, well, my website's cosmicguide.org, and yeah, you can book a session, and that's pretty much where I post everything.
And buy her book and my book, risingphoenixaurora.com. Thank you. I love you all. Thank you for being here.
Love you all. Thank you so much for being here. Much love.
See you next time. Bye-bye.